It's about 8:25. I'm not going to be on very long because I do not feel like being on here really at all, but I am getting overwhelmed with messages. Um, I've been sick pretty much all weekend. I've been sick since about last Thursday, and the last 2 days have been really bad. I'm starting to turn the corner and feel a little bit better today, but don't have a lot of energy to put out for this. But I'm going to put it out here so that people can come and listen because I know that with the amount of messages I'm getting, that just more people are going to message me if I don't say something. So I got notified by a gazillion people that Miss Patty um, put out a video, and so I went to watch it after I got like 5 gazillion messages. I'm like, well, I guess I better watch this. Hi Ashley. So hey, you Lily Loves. So if you've listened to any of my streams for the last few weeks, especially last week when I was like, something's telling me I need, this is it's done. There's not going to be anything positive I can do here. The fan base is sadly not what it needs to be, and it's not functioning like a fan base. It's functioning in a mob mentality, and the hate that's going around. I'm just, it's not something I want to be part of. And because I would not like pledge my undying devotion to either side, I was getting hate from both sides. And then when I was just trying to, as I've said for the last 3 weeks, no one should be harassing Miss Patty. I've said in many lives, I don't believe she has a malicious bone in her body, but I do think that there's some dysfunction going on here that is sadly affecting a whole lot of people. But it doesn't take just one person to be dysfunctional as a family unit, y'all. It takes everybody. But I was like, don't send her hate, don't send her death threats. That's just unnecessary. The fan base should not be emotionally manipulated like this. That's on Ryan. He needs to calm down. The last couple of videos he's done has been calmer, so I think he's in a better headspace. But you're still seeing the hate that's being run through Creek Squad. Don't agree with it. Don't think it's right. And that's basically why I wanted to pull away. Well, now we've got this. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Gypsy. Hi, Leave the Cats. Now we've got this that's come out today with Miss Patty. And just very briefly, the first thing that I thought of was, why does this need to be on the internet? If she's taking legal action, then nobody can help her except for the judge and an attorney. I don't think that anyone in Creek Squad is going to fill either of those positions. Um, I feel sad that she's as defensive as she has to be, and she's probably in a very not good space as far as with people contacting her and saying, stating nasty, horrible things. I would not wish that upon anybody, and it's wrong. Even if it's somebody you don't defend or agree with, they shouldn't be treated that way. Um, and because somebody watched 30 seconds of one of my mini videos about this and told her one point, she quipped at me, and I thought, okay, she's in a really bad place, but also, unless you do your homework and unless you hear it yourself, then you probably shouldn't speak about it. But it's kind of irritated me that she snapped so quickly because I was like, isn't that what you're mad at your son about? But there's a whole lot of sides to this, and that's what I've been saying for the last few weeks. There's so many ways to look at this. None of them are wrong. They all have valid viewpoints and perspectives. There's a lot of concerns that need to be had, um, and the family, should probably seek professional help. And I just think that's just the best way to do this, as opposed to doing what's been being done, which is air everything, send out the mob, the flying monkeys, and wait for the music to come out before everybody settles back down. It doesn't seem to be a very productive cycle that they're in. Um, I've talked about that. I don't like this cycle. I don't enjoy it. Um, but it seems now that Miss Patty is going to be the first one to take legal action. Apparently, is what she voiced on her channel. And like I've told everybody, this is a drop in the bucket. What we've known for the past couple of weeks, like everybody said, well, he's showing pictures of the houses they bought. He's standing in front of houses with papers in his hand. But I can't attest to what's on the paper or if that house is owned by him or was owned by him. There are blatant holes that are not being filled in, and I can only see it as for manipulation purposes. But it's, I see it on both sides. So, and Miss Patty, made a video. She was very, very unsettled the entire time she made the video. The things she said were valid perspectives, but because she said them in such a heightened emotional state, the message gets lost. Um, and it just makes me wonder. I told a friend the other day, they're like, why are you done with this? And I'm like, well, listen, I said, dysfunction is 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 everyone's problem. Everyone has to pitch in and fix it when it's in a family, and if there's been dysfunction, um, money doesn't fix it. It only makes it more expensive. And I think Miss Patty almost said the exact same thing in her video. So that kind of struck me odd, and I was like, well, okay, yeah, see, Miss Patty, I'm not that far away from how you're thinking. I'm just trying to not um, put a nail in anyone's coffin, because I think there's accountability on both sides. I think there's things that need to be fixed on both sides. I think that having financial positions within a family entertainment, is just it's just a problem waiting to happen, and I'm not happy that they're all experiencing this. But my concern at the end of the day is, why are the first people to always know the fans? Like, they don't even intercommunicate as a family. They don't even interpersonally exchange. They go and normally interpersonally exchange on social media platforms. And that is so unhealthy. And it concerns me that I'm like, okay, I've been watching Mine's numbers for the last 3 years, and they've kind of either been holding or falling slightly. And Tom McDonald's has just skyrocketed, through the blue yonder. And I've been like, oh, it's been all these women issues and all these repetitive issues that the fans keep seeing again. It's making people not want to listen to the music. And oh my gosh, if he could just learn a few coping skills and learn a few decision-making skills and get out of these repetitious behaviors, things would be better. And y'all know I've tried. But I think now that is kind of like a hole for the family. Like, there's this cycle of behavior, and it's like the hole for the family. And it's just, I think it just got amplified when he reached a certain level of celebrity. And sadly, that amplification emotionally charged the fan base, and they got emotionally attached to certain things, because drama is engagement these days. And I've actually made a statement to a friend: are we making a transition to like more of a Kardashian family, as opposed to just the one family member that makes music? Is that what we're doing here? Because everything seems to have been like staged for social media or put up on social media, and it's just like, is this a engagement issue? Is it a financial engagement issue? Is it a decision being made? Because I'm concerned. These stupid mic things. I'm in bed. I've been in bed for like 3 days because of my health. I don't know, but either way, whether it was live or pre-recorded, it was just a mess emotionally. It was just like at an 11 out of 10 the whole time, and I was like, that presentation could have been so much better so that people actually paid attention instead of just getting emotionally, sucked in. Um, but I wonder now, is there like a motive to this, or is it just it's finally got to the level where they can't hide the squabbles? I don't know. But like I've said for the last 3 weeks, there's really no wrong or right side. There's accountability on both sides. There's always accountability on both sides. There's things on both sides that each person could do better, fix, repair, refocus. Everybody has changes they need to make. If Ryan's got issues and the family was not what was causing his issues, now that he's kind of separated from them, then if he cycles again, then he obviously has more work to do. If there's litigious issues, then it has to go to court. We'll have to sit here and wait for it to go to court. No matter what we say or try to emotionally push or try to drive a mob mentality inclination toward, we don't get to dictate any of that. We just have to wait. Because they will publicly put it, on social media. That's where everything else falls. So it seems like Miss Patty is the first one out the gate with litigation. I'm concerned about a few patterns of words and word choices that she made during the statement in regard to the ownership of certain statements, ideas, and franchises. But again, it has to go through court. So we'll just have to wait for, because you need so much more information than just the snippets that are being told. It's going to be, there's so much more going on. This is, like I've said, it's a drop in the bucket. There's so much more we don't know. Um, but last week I just had a really bad feeling about this, and I was like, this is just not where my energy needs to be, and I'm not helping people. I'm just receiving hate. And it seems like the fans are more invested in the hate drama than they are in actually saying, oh, I can learn from this and not end up in this scenario myself. And it seems like the family is more engaged in the drama itself and driving the force instead, the fan base force, um, because the fans are really the weapons here. I mean, if you listen to each of them on social media, the fans are the weapon. The fan base is the weapon. It is what is causing the conflict and harm. Yeah, people's actions and behaviors are also creating issues, but the real harm that is the core of the issue is the hate coming from the fan base. So the fan base is being wielded as a weapon. That's why I always say, hey, yo, back off. If somebody's forcing you to try to feel an emotion, you need to back away and say, why do you want me to feel that emotion? Why do you want me to behave like that? It's just not healthy to get sucked into somebody else's issue. And nobody wanted to hear that from me. I've got a lot of questions like why now, after she spent, several months defending his behavior, is she now calling out his behavior during all of that Kylie Rodney stuff and Xana May stuff? And, he should be able to have his opinion, state his opinion. If anyone goes after him for the Kylie Rodney stuff, it should be the family of Kylie Rodney showing some kind of causally related financial harm that they're going to go after him for. I mean, that would be like the only way I would envision it. Or if there's a business damage been done and she's stating she owns a business, has there been a causal relationship to his behavior and damage to the business? Don't know. We'll have to wait for it to go to court. Is that something that, she's pushing as a mindset? I don't know. It'd have to go to court. Um, but to me, this is just like, okay, guys, go back to your corners. Nobody else ding that bell. We don't want another round of this. Go back to your corners, sit down, and think about what is most important. It's not money. Money can be made and lost in a second. It could be, how we're harming each other emotionally. Actions that are causing instability in the family that need to be resolved. That's, hey, go resolve those. But I don't know, it's just very strange. I think it's all strange to be displayed. I think it's strange that, like, she's not blocking people that are saying horrible things, because we see people that said horrible things, a dozen times now. But, she won't say anything to them except for stop. But if I'm like, whoa, y'all, back out, look at the bigger picture, look at both sides, personal accountability, self-evaluation, and she gets mad at me, and it's like, okay, that's fine, But obviously, there's more going on here than we know, and it doesn't seem like it's a very healthy situation. It seems like there's a lot of emotional entanglement, financial entanglement, um, a lot of he said, she said, and a lot of blurred lines. And the only way to unblur those, if it's going to be related to the business or the businesses, is court. So take it to court. But we always end up on social media and trying to drive the fan base and crash it somewhere. And it's just like, hey, y'all, as fans, take a minute, calm down. Is this, as a fan, do you always want to be like emotionally intoxicated and on the, Ferris wheel of doom all the time? Is this where you want to be? Because I don't think it's very fun. Brittany says, think she's letting people badger her, and she's going to try to use them to prove something. Yeah, I picked up on the wordplay as well, Brittany. Yeah, she's definitely going after damages, and probably emotional damages because she said she couldn't sleep, hasn't been able to grocery shop. Which if she's getting death threats, then she should go after the people that are stupid enough to put those death threats up there. You know, because that's stupid. That's just stupid. And how many times have you heard me say, why would people as poor as me get up and defend someone who doesn't know they're alive and makes a gazillion more dollars? And, you know, you can't even pay a retainer fee on a lawyer, let alone to have one go to court with you 5 times. But you're going to defend somebody who has not a problem in the world financially and can keep this ball rolling for years. It doesn't make sense. But the fan base doesn't think like that. And that's why I keep saying stop and think. Why are you being asked to behave in this way? Is there a benefit for someone? Are they creating this for a benefit? Is it creating just a financial benefit that they can actually go and try to ascertain? I don't know, but I don't like it. It's felt very much like it's a trap. You know, it's felt very much like I have felt for the last 2 weeks like this has been like a shift to more of a Kardashian type venture as opposed to just a music venture. And that didn't sit well with me, and I hope I'm wrong, you know. But it just concerns me. It's just like it's just nah. Okay, yeah. This internet, we've had trees down everything across the lines. My internet is probably not good. Need a mediation, leave a cats, yes. Of course, normally try that first, so maybe that will happen. Um, but like I said, for the last 3 weeks, both sides have accountability. If it has to go through court, that doesn't apply to Creek Squad. You're not a judge or jury. Stop running with your emotions. You're going to get snared up in something you don't want to be snared up in. And what I saw tonight was basically a scene being set for future issues. Um, and I feel bad that any family would be in this position. And I feel bad that people are hurting. And I feel bad that someone's, you know, getting death threats sent to her and being, you know, hounded and really tore apart. But I also have to sit back and go, just like I don't know if the paperwork he held in front of those houses are real, I don't know if what she's saying is real. I don't know if, you know, if the things that are occurring that they're saying are occurring are actually occurring. I don't know. All I know is that for about 3 months now, Creek Squad is supposed to have been at like a 15 on 10 emotional, and the fan base has really gotten really edgy, really hateful, and really just emotionally energetic where they go out and they lash out before they think. And I've been like, yo, that's not cool. It's not what we're here for. We're here to listen to music and say, cool song, bro, and give them 99 cents. Um, but it just feels weird to me. It just feels off to me. And I've said that in the most polite way possible for the last few weeks as well. And something just feels off to me. And almost manufactured. But like I said, there's so much that I don't know that you don't know. This is their issue. It has to go through court. It has to go through mediation. Hopefully they'll have a mediator try to walk through this with them. And hopefully they'll seek some other aid as well, because this is not a scenario that you should desire to be in as a family. It's not a scenario you should desire to share on social media as a family. I understand that they have probably very little privacy due to his career. That I understand that, but at the same time, it's like this could be handled so much better if the fan base was just removed, because the fan base seems to be what is keeping the contention going and keeping the war going. It's the momentum behind the fan base, behind each side, and there should not be people should not be being used in that manner. I just don't think that's very nice. Well, Brittany, I mean, you're allowed to. I mean, you're allowed to have an idea. Like when they place things on public domain and they place information on public domain, you know, you can, like a lot of people have been really mean about it. Like they have really just like lashed out and been like, well, this is what's going on. I'm like, how do you know that? You don't know that. So a lot of people have ran with, a lot of ideas instead of just like discussing what they're putting on social media. And so when you see me, that's why I will say, here, these words that he said, this behavior, you know. But it just, I don't know, it just feels really strange. It just feels really strange that someone that relies on a fan base for financial compensation would almost like have this like manufacturer created issue with the fan base, and instead of disengaging, allowing things to die down, would continue the engagement and continue to like emotionally engage the fan base. It just seems off to me. It just seems off to me. And so I would just, caution everybody to not jump to conclusions, to sit back and look at this, to see the red flags that you can see that may apply to you and your family. And if you see them, talk about them with you and your family, your loved ones, and try to use this as an educational tool rather than an entertainment tool, because I don't think any family being in tension and strife should be like entertainment. But there's a lot of people saying a lot of bad things on both sides. Yeah, there's a lot of people saying a lot of horrible things that they have no basis for, no background for. And it's like that. If that's an issue, that will come out in time. And just like if there's court issues, that will come out in time. And as a fan base, we should just kind of sit back, listen to the music, and when stuff like this happens, just kind of go, okay, I'm going to detach for a while, and I'll be back when things calm down, because this is just not healthy. It's not good for anyone. It's not good for them. Number one, it's not good for the fans. And it's certainly, I would think it can't be good for business, but I also don't do social media, so what do I know? But this is just one of those things that I would just like caution everybody to not jump on an emotional bandwagon. Think things through. Rarely is one side always a victim and the other always an aggressor. Normally it's a shared mutual destruction kind of thing. And just like, if you look at it, try to look at both sides equally. Try to find flaws, pros and cons on both sides. Don't try to invest in one side above the other. Try to really see the bigger picture and go, what are we looking at? But the only thing that you can do really is that's going to be beneficial for you is if you see these issues in your family and you see red flags, talk to your family and be like, yo, I see these issues and I've seen a lot of this on social media and I don't like where it ends up. So I see this like red flag for us. Can we talk about it? And if you see somebody else in strife, yeah, help them if you can, but also remember that so that you don't find yourself there as well. But it's just been a really weird few weeks. And as much as I've been like, hey guys, chill. Creek Squad needs to chill. Y'all need to not get so emotionally invested. Y'all need to not go and attack. Y'all need to, and the person that was sitting here going, look at the bigger picture. This is a family, looking pretty much like they're in crisis. We shouldn't be taking entertainment value from this. We should be looking at this educationally and saying, what do I need to know so I'm not going to end up here? If they're going to offer it up to public domain, at least you can use it as a tool. But the fact that it has been like entertainment engagement for like a solid month now, it's been nothing but conflict, concerns me. It just concerns me. So be careful where you put your energy. As I've always said, it will come back and bite you in the butt. And always, when you think you figured it out, take a step back. There is a bigger picture. Fault almost never lies within just one person. Fault on anything hardly ever lies within just one person. And if something is at such a level that it's something that has to go through court, then wait for it to go through court. It's really simple. I mean, you can say, yeah, if this happened, if this happened, if this happened, if this happened, well, we don't know. We're going to have to let it go through court. And then they'll talk about it till it goes through court. Because there's too many avenues to take and too many trails to run that have no benefit to anyone, that's only going to keep the emotional, entanglement going. And it's just not a healthy place. It's not a healthy place for the fans. Obviously, from what Miss Patty said, it's not a healthy place for her, which I said that a couple of weeks ago. And honestly, you know, we have this thing called social media that could like educate the entire world, share information, and make the human population the most intelligent of its day, and we use it for such stupidity. So try to find something that's going to put a wrinkle in your brain today, and basically all you can do is toss up some good energy and prayers for this family, because like I said, I believe it's just drop in the bucket, and nobody's going to know the full story until everything has been taken care of, and we're standing at the end of this with all the information, which we as the fan base probably never will, but hopefully if stuff has to go through court, then the court will have all of that taken care of. I just find it terribly odd. Number one, that has to be on social media, and number two, that people can change so much in just a few months. But one statement she did make is like, this is basically what's been going on since forever. It's just more expensive now. So like the hateful rhetoric and the behavior is the same thing that's been going on for the family since they became a family. Apparently, she's alluded to it just being more expensive now. But then she alludes to the fact that she's going to apologize. When she defended him a few months ago, now she's going to apologize because she's just been enlightened to how harmful this is. But then she states that it's been going on since the beginning of time, basically, and it's just more expensive now. So there's a lot of back and forths and crossovers there, and that didn't make sense to me personally. May not ever make sense to me personally. When people make a personal statement that's very emotional like that, they can mean one thing and say it in a way that can kind of be taken in multiple ways. So you just kind of have to go, okay, I think I got the gist of that, but may have been way off base. It's just weird. It just struck me as weird. Yeah, it just struck me as weird, Leba Cats. And as much as I try to talk about behaviors and actions and psychology and decision making and self evaluation and accountability, nobody wanted to hear it for a month. And now it's like, well, we just smacked it right square in the face because here comes the court crap. And everybody was like, that'll never happen. Ryan will never take her to court. That's his mom. Well, I listen, there are certain words you only say if you're planning on going into a courtroom. And I spent a lot of time in courtrooms, and I was hearing a lot of those words. So she should have. I've got somebody saying she should have talked to him. Period. Yeah, there needs to be. Yeah, communication is non-existent apparently unless it's on social media, and that's sad because yeah, um, and that's one thing that I think every person that is seeing this should walk away with. Hey, communication is important. Interpersonal relationships and communication within a family is super important, and you need to be talking about stuff. Just like I said, my family's been going through like a whole recalibration, and it's been because of lack of communication and like unhealthy expectations or unrealistic expectations. And so those are normally two big things for families, and so it seems to be one of the problems here as well. Well, see, I can't. Nobody can prove that though. I mean, he stood online and in front of houses and held up paperwork, but like I've not seen any like filed, stamped, you know, proof of that. So I can't say that if she did do something like that and it was criminal, then it has to go through the court. So it's like what am I supposed to do about it? Um, and it's like Ghost Red's being trash. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's disrespectful. But if he was renting or leasing or allowing them to live at the property, we don't normally get to control the way people live. So normally when, if we walk in, if someone walked in my house on an unexpected day, I mean, it wouldn't be that bad, but they would not catch my house in the same state all the time because my health cycles. And so if I'm extremely healthy and I'm doing well that week, my house is probably going to be clean. But if I'm having a week like I've had this last week, no, dishes are going to be in the sink, and the floor's not going to be swept, and good luck finding the dog because, there's going to be hairballs floating around as big as him. But, it's just like, those things, life happens, there's, reasons for all that. But also, we saw no one making the mess, no one creating the mess. We only know who was living per his statement at the ghost ranch at that time. But you don't see any activity of someone actively making the mess. So it could have been made by anybody and just blame place. There's, like I said, there's so many ways to look at this. You have to kind of really put your detective hat on and go, you know, should I believe everything I'm seeing? Should I be believing everything I'm being told? Probably not. Especially when it's stuff, family stuff that's on social media. Probably not. It is. It's very mind-boggling. Like it's like, why are we? Like I like to listen to the music, and and it's like weird. My concern is that there is some kind of transition to a more Kardashian type existence as opposed to just a music business. That's my concern, and I'm like, let's not do that. That's not healthy. Like no family has ever gotten out of that unscathed. Let's not do that. That's like my spidey senses going off. But that's just me. I could be completely reading it wrong. I just think it's all weird. It's just weird. Yeah, I'll leave a cat. So it's, yeah, like that's it. We've been seeing this behavior, you know, for a while, and now it's an issue. Why is it an issue now? And she's like, this behavior has been going on forever. It's just more expensive now. Okay, well, why are we just addressing it now? Is it just a problem now because it is more expensive? Is it worthy of being addressed now because it is more expensive? Or, because I would hope that any family that found themselves in a crisis like that, whether it was a $25 crisis or a $2.5 million crisis, they would sit down and go, we don't want to be here again. This does not feel good. Well, I keep saying, the only thing that everybody shares is a level of dysfunction because nobody's normal. It's the only thing we all share is dysfunction. But this is just strange. This is just weird. I didn't like the vernacular that was used. I didn't like the way that I was snapped back to the other week when I have been trying to be like, you got to look at all sides. You got to look at this. You got to look at that. You got to let this go through. We're not supposed to be the judge and jury. And I was like, why would you be mad at me? Like, I have been like the most neutral little Hindenburg floating up here going, guys, calm down. Guys, calm down. I am the elephant in Tarzan that is this water sanitary. That is my role. And she just lashed out at me. And I thought, why would you do that? But obviously, I'm asking people to have a critical eye. A critical eye would probably make a lot of people go, this doesn't feel right. I'm going to back out. And it's just like, this is weird. This is weird. Yeah, well, I mean, he did make the money, but it's going to be the way that the business is constructed, the way it is set up, um, who he has in seats of power and sign offs for like monetary levels of expenditure and stuff like that. So while business looks plain and simple because he sings he should make the money, there's a lot of other stuff going on that has to be built and established and contracted a certain way so that cuts go everywhere, so you don't really know how the money is divided. So Dustin says he's just trying to make it in the country music world. Is this though what it takes to get in the country music world now though? I mean, is this, because to me, like if you were here a minute ago, I said this feels like a shift to a more Kardashian type entertainment engagement as opposed to just a music engagement. Like, instead of just being in the music industry, this is like a shift to a more Kardashian type engagement with his fans. I don't know. I don't know if I could make that step. Oh yeah, leave a cats. There's always two sides. There's always 2 million sides. I mean, anybody that literally has been in this whirlwind or has been close enough to be affected is going to have a perception that's different. And everyone, everyone is going to be responsible in some way. So, there's going to be accountability on all sides. And I think maybe that's why they have not liked me saying, "Hey guys, back up and look at this with a critical eye," because a critical eye would make you not latch on like a beagle on a rabbit trail, and just take off running. It would make you go, this looks weird. I don't think I'm going to enjoy this. And people would back away and probably not participate as freely with their emotions and their comments and their engagement. And I think you should have a critical eye, and I think you should not always want to comment. There are some days I wake up and I'm not conducive to society, and I know that. And so I say, yeah, I shouldn't put anything on the internet today. There are times when you get hyped up emotionally from watching a video or reading something that you should not respond. You should give yourself the, you know, 1 hour, 2 hour, 12 hour, 24 hour rule, however long it takes you to come back and have a cool head before you respond. But it seems like there's been really an amp up in the emotional engagement with fans over the last several months. And is it just because they're having all this crisis and it's spewing out, or is it because that's what gets the fans there? I'm like, which is it? And it's not positive either way, but which is it? Oh, I think he's definitely talented, Dustin. Like, I will never say he's not talented. I will always like adore and root for this boy because he's a Tennessee boy, and I want to see him be successful. And I think he is truly talented, and the way he does his lyrics and the syncopation, he's just very good at what he does. He's just very good. His brain, I like the way his brain clicks, and I like in a lot of ways he's made his ADHD work for him in the studio, which is something that really affects his music, and that gives a lot of kids with that diagnosis as well a lot to go, hey, I can make this work for me. So he gives everybody a whole different view of things. I can sit here and say great things about him for 10 years. I can say awesome things about Miss Patty too because I love her vintage thrifting stuff. I don't think she has a malicious bone in her body. I don't feel that she does, but I definitely feel that something is off right now. Um, I definitely felt a little bit of the hate the other day. And, while I can sit here and say I can understand she's not in the best mindset, I can also say I know how old I am. She's older than me. And there comes a time in life where you learn how to handle these things. And so I would have anticipated someone that was more mature than me to handle it in a more mature fashion. But then again, that could be an unhealthy expectation that I placed there that I thought that our little online relationship had, and it did not. So that may be me having a faulty expectation. Um, but I enjoy what she does. I like the reselling of the jewelry. I like that she likes to thrift. Because we're all on a budget here. Let's be real. And I've always liked her personality. And she's very free with her thoughts, and she's obviously a very creative person. You can see where Brian gets a lot of his creativity, and so I can sit here and say positive things about both of them for a long, long time. Um, but what I'm focused on is the shift that I felt in the fan base. While there was a shift in the fan base, and now the shift in the fan base seems to be a weapon. And I'm just like, hey, fan base, wake up. If you were going to get so emotionally entangled that you're going to lash out at someone, then you should not be a fan. You should back away and say, why am I getting so emotionally attached that I go on and threaten someone's life, or I leave a really nasty, vitriolic, you know, treat you like a subhuman, why would you ever feel the need to do that as a fan of music? So there's just a lot of this that just doesn't make sense, and I'm just like, back up, look at the big picture. They're obviously in crisis. Let them do their thing. We can look at this from an educational standpoint and say, hey, are you seeing any of these problems in your family? If you're seeing this, or this, go communicate. Go ask for help. Go tell somebody that you love them. Can we go to mediation or therapy? Can we, talk about this? Um, Use this as a learning tool so that you don't find yourself in this situation. Understand you know, that all families share a level of dysfunction, and if we can be a red flag and a learning tool, let's do it. If it's going to be put on public domain, let's make a positive out of it. Um, at the same time, respect the family that they're going through a very bad time. Talk about it in the most respectful and general, neutral of ways, because you don't know what's going on, and try to wait, and for a resolution, instead of like helping to like perpetuate the nastiness online. It's just not necessary. From any angle, it's not necessary. And Brittany says, I don't know why, but she's always felt fake to me. I've never felt like she was. Oh, I have never felt like she was stuck to Ron's hip for the right reason. Honestly, I suspected the day would eventually come. And Brittany, you may be on. I mean, you may be closer to understanding this than me or anyone else. You may, your spidey senses may be doing you more right than mine are. Um, when you see a family that obviously has had issues because they're separated, then when you see a mother son duo so tight, you obviously want to think that is a real attachment, you know. And honestly, I don't know if you can be this mad at somebody without really loving them. So, I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of two-sided questions, and I do the pros and cons thing and play the devil's advocate a lot in my head. So that's why I always like look at it from 3 or 4 different vantage points, and that's why it's helpful to talk about it and look at it, and it kind of trains people to do the same thing. Because right now, my concern is that the younger fan base are being trained that this is normal, appropriate, completely justified, normalized, and you can repeat it in your own world. And I'm like, no, 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 don't. Well, that's another thing. We've got no one would even know if it wasn't for him. That's another thing. It's like, there is a certain part of me that's like, hey, something, your son had this talent, he cultivated it. I'm sure you helped with that in a lot of ways, but he made it big, and he has, in a lot of ways, provided for the entire family. Part of me is like, I would just be like thankful and quiet, you know, and try not to make his life any harder, because I know fame is horrible. Um, so part of me is like, if I were in that position, what would I do? I would probably be like thankful and quiet, and if there was an issue, seek out a very quiet way to handle it. But that's just how I am. It wouldn't like, I would be like, I'm super thankful for what you've given me, but can we talk next week at 2 p.m. on Friday, because I'm concerned. You know, that's kind of how I would roll. Hi, Sue. Well, Brittany, you shouldn't feel guilty for feeling that way. I mean, we all have different perspectives, and that used to be what we would come together and talk about these things in like a physical environment with each other, and we would have a real dialogue, conversation with each other, and learn from the words we say, the way our bodies move, nonverbal communication, and we would all get to listen to everybody's ideas, theories, and we would say, hey, I have a better, well rounded view now because I understand how other people see this. We don't do that anymore. Now it's all about how we see it, and everyone must see it the way we see it. And, that's never good. And the more ideas that you can swallow, then the better you're going to, be able to function, because you can see it from different vantage points, and you're not just going down a one-lane highway in your road, in your brain. You're going down a 6-lane highway in Atlanta that freaks us all out, but we have more ideas flowing, so it's a healthier scenario. Dustin, questions. Um, Sue has a question about why he and Bethany broke up. I have no idea. He's alluded to the fact in other videos that his mother um, created tension in relationships, but he didn't say anything specifically about his relationship with Beth. I think that was mostly about Brianna. So I have no idea. I thought Beth was a very quiet, chill, down home, classic country girl that knew him before fame, so was a great option. But we have to hope that they're making the best decision for themselves, and if they're not right for each other, then we hope that's the best decision. Brittany, I've had a similar thought that you with the parents should never, yeah. Dustin says I made a video to stand up for Ryan after the Taste of Country said the wrong thing about him, and he commented on video to say thanks for staying. Yeah, Brian's always been very sweet about my videos, and I go in depth psychologically about some stuff, and he's always been very thankful and told me I'm very thoughtful, and he's blasted several of my videos and been very sweet. Like, I've never had a negative interaction with Ryan. Yes, that was basically what his Instagram statement and apology to Brianna said, was that, yeah, that he found out there were lies being said, or basically she was creating a wedge between himself and Brianna. I don't know. I think that trust is one of, I don't know. Trust is one of those things you got to constantly be up on, and evaluating your relationship with people and where you are, and it's one of those, you constantly have to really work to keep a trust level going, and so it takes a lot of communication, and that's, I think, what has failed them, to be quite honest. Leva Cat, this is great. And Leva Cat says, if my son was supporting me, I would not want any access to his accounts. It leaves the door open for things to go wrong. I don't want access or any money that I haven't earned. Leva Cat, this is a very big thing for me too, because I'm like, listen, he should have gotten professionals for his employment opportunities, and he should have kept his friends and employees separate. You don't employ friends or family because it creates tension, and it puts money between family, where the only thing between family should be emotions. Then it puts money, and money is oftentimes put above emotional availability, and like emotional access to each other. Money is always like put on the pinnacle, and so it creates a wedge issue in the family. So I would not want access to it either. And he, like, I've been like, he should have found a way to, if you want to take really good care of your friends and take them on a trip, that's great, but find a reason to do it and not have them anticipate employment and handouts, and it just creates a very unhealthy power imbalance. I don't like that, and and it just creates problems. And there's research and studies all behind that, to prove that. Yes, trust and communication is key. That the anger that was being displayed, the level of, like, emotional, it was just almost toxic to watch. It was like, well, that would have come across a whole lot different had the emotions been under control. So yeah, it kind of concerned me a little bit. Dawn, coming in here with the quotes. Thank you, Dawn. His video stated that and here's the quotes, mom had come between them with lies. Okay. Um, yeah, and that was about Brianna, not Bethany. I've not heard him say anything about his relationship with Bethany or his mom in that regard. I've only saw the apology video to Brianna, and the one prior to that where he says, um, that he realized mom basically was coming, creating tension, with him and Brianna. That's the only relationship I've heard Miss Patty interjected into. Um, but I also don't watch all the social media platforms. So if you have a link, I'll watch it. But Is her family doing? That's when I was like, if there's going to be legal issues with the Kylie Rodney case, it should have to come from the family because they would have to try to go up and show causally related financial damages and emotional damages due to his behavior. I still think that that's going to be hard to prove because it was a national platform story, and at a certain point you were given like celebrity status just because of national news and occurrences. You don't have to seek out celebrity to be deemed a celebrity by the court. So I think it's going to be terribly difficult for them to prove. But like I was like, yeah, that should be the family coming after him and not like his family. And is that a defensive mechanism, hoping that no one else will be targeted, or what's going on? You know. Brittany, I was actually, that's where we started out. It was just my family hit a big speed bump in December because of new additions to the family. And it was just like we needed to recalibrate, but recalibration was like not on someone's list. And it's taken us a couple months to even start to get to a place where we can discuss it because of like it was made out to be this super like emotional jackknife when it was not. It was so weird. And that's what happens when you try to misuse relationships. It backfires normally. Jay, I think that's a great idea. I always tell everybody to send up prayers and good energy. Everyone in that family is hurting right now. Whether they're hurting in a way that we can agree with or not, or we can understand or acknowledge, they're all hurting. So everyone send up some good energy to the entire family because they're all hurting. Sue says she was that his mom was messing with spirits and energy and spirits, and that can cause problems. I agree. I think that can cause problems. I think anytime you open a door to something that is um, not well understood or sought after for maybe the wrong reasons, it can kind of create an issue. Energy is a very real thing. And we got Daniel on here. Hey, Daniel. Well, Daniel, when it comes to music, I can't say anything bad about the boy. I mean, he's just terribly talented, and there's not going to be a time that I will ever say otherwise because he's just extremely talented. I'm just concerned about if we're trying to go to like a more of a Kardashian type engagement, entertainment engagement, as opposed to just music. It just feels that way to me, and I'm like, let's not do this. Let's not ruin a really great thing. The music is so awesome, and this energy on all this other stuff is not. Let's just go back to the music. Can we just go back to the music, please? Um, so yeah, there's lots of different ways to look at this, and everybody's right in their own way. Well, Brittany, that's one thing I'm like, why would we need to sabotage this? Why would someone do that? Why would people still be talking about that? Like what, 7, 8 years later? Um, it is weird. Like all of this is weird for me. Like it all feels very staged. I'm just from my perspective, it all feels very staged. I don't know if it's staged for legal reasons or staged for entertainment engagement reasons or social media. I don't know. It just all feels very weird to me. Chiefs just won the Super Bowl. I haven't watched the Super Bowl in so long. Well, there is this thing called like the all devouring mother, and normally that creates a big hiccup right around the ages of like 12 to 15 for most young men. And that was right about the time he got famous. Um, So you would think that these things would present earlier, but then, Miss Patty alluded to this is the same cycle that's been going on for a long time. So, we just kind of have to sit back and wait and go, okay, if you're going to put this all on public domain, then we're all going to sit back and wait and just kind of look at it and go, I think the puzzle's come together, maybe not. Hey, Gina, how you doing? Daniel, I've been sick all weekend too. That's why my voice sounds very weak today. Not done well the last week. And my RSD flared after that windstorm that came through, stayed in flare to the point where my organs and my abdomen swelled, and it's been a rough weekend. And honestly, I think everybody in our area is sick. Daniel and I are very close geographically, and everyone's sick. Well, Sue, that's every contact I've had with Ron. He has been very talented and very sweet and humble. So I can't say anything like personally bad about how he has like engaged with me. He's always been super sweet. And until the other day, the same could be said for Miss Patty. I never thought that this would even be a possibility because I try to be like I said, I'm like a little fat neutral Hindenburg floating up above, going, everybody back up and look at this. Let's not get mad. Let's look at this. So all of this just seems so bizarre to me. Well, Brittany, you may be onto something. You may have seen something that no one else has picked up on. We all we all have our strengths when it comes to viewing people and kind of picking up on the nonverbal body language and stuff like that. So you may have picked up on something that no one else has. You may be completely onto something. Jay, I'm the same way. I'm like, why are we putting finances above the emotional stability of our family? Because it's just money, and obviously the boy can make a lot of it. So let's put our family's emotional stability back up there at the top of the leaderboard. Well, I hope it's not Black Pill. Black Pill says, I doubt this is all staged. I hope it's not because it would be so horrible to know that somebody would willingly engage in this type of behavior for money. I mean that would hurt me to think that they would do that. But I don't know, something feels off to me. And that's just me. Like, just maybe me, but something feels so off. And I kept telling everybody, shush, we don't know the whole story. This is just a drop in the bucket. We don't know the whole story. And if stuff needs to go to court, then good. If somebody did something criminal, I hope they get prosecuted and held accountable. But we can't dictate any of that. It has to go to court. It has to go through the appropriate channels, and the fan base can't do any of that. So why is the fan base so mad? And then boy, they were mad at me because I basically said you have no power here, and they got really mad at me. And I was like, well, sorry, Gene. Everybody's sick, Gene. Everybody's sick. And I've been in like constant flare for like 3 months and been trying to do this new physical therapy and I broke down in tears last night because I'm not sure it's working, not sure it's doing anything but create more issues for me. So yeah, I'm gonna have to make some decisions about my healthcare in the future, and it's just ugh, wish I had better options. Sue, money, that's one thing I've said too. Like, accountability, and like, you can look at this so many ways. And one way I looked at it was, hey, as soon as you started making money, you should have known how much you were making, what was coming in, what was going out, having it broken down by a financial group so that you saw your money and how it was being invested and used and what was being spent. You should have known where every penny was. That should not have been someone else's job unless they were a professional paid to do that. And then they should have been accountable to you. So you still should have had oversight. Like, there's a lot that he is accountable for as a businessman, that he needs to be accountable for and say, okay, well, yeah, I should have done that better. There's a lot of accountability stuff that could answer a whole lot of questions and probably reduce a lot of their emotional anger, but they won't go there. And it's like, just come on, go there. Own what you could have fixed and then push that out and then be left with the real stuff that you both have to fix. Brittany, everybody I know has been sick lately, and I'm like in little Podunk, Appalachia, where we only have like we're an hour away from interstates and one road in and one road out, and it's very strange for this much sickness to be in our small area. Wouldn't it be sad though to be that talented and have that big of a change in your life and not know how much you were worth, not know how much you had generated for your family? Oh goodness, Sue, bless your heart. These health issues are horrible. I have reflex sympathetic dystrophy, and it's very much like MS, only much angrier. That's how I describe it. And the last few months have been horrible for me. Jay, he may have. He may have trusted everybody and never thought to ask for himself. That's very well possible. But being the person making the money and being an adult, he should have been like, I'm responsible to know this. Like it's, you get your check on Friday, you know how much you have and you know what bills you got to pay, and you are responsible for that. So I would hope that everyone, whatever level of money they're making, they have that same minute thought of this is my money, I need to be aware. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate the prayers. Yeah, we've got a lot of sickness and in the area, and then we've got a lot of people in our little YouTube family here that's going through loss and a lot of issues, and just nobody's having a very good winter. It's sad. Hey, HBR. Yeah, blind trust, Brittany, is a sad thing, isn't it? Well, it creates a lot of resentment and issues. Only because I'm allergic to a lot of stuff. And so a lot of options on the table for other people I can't access because of my allergies. And a lot of the infusions they offer for my specific disorder are not available regionally. And so it creates a where can I go to get this done and can I get my insurances to get with me on this? And that's been the problem. Where I'm located and the sad, sad state of healthcare in my region. Yeah, Daniel. Yeah, there's just been a lot of sickness and a lot of just, it's been weird sickness too in that area. It's been very sad. Hey, Pocahontas. Oh, your sciatica. I see. I've been having a lot of neuropathy the last week because of the specific swelling problems I'm having. Um, and then today, a lot of fluid has moved, which has allowed where I do get a lot of vasoconstriction, it's allowed it to kind of alleviate today, but then my nerves have wanted to fire because they actually can. And I have had so much weird backwards nerve pain the last few weeks, and I had an axe thrown at me when I was 26 and got hurt. Started a lot of surgeries. It crushed my nerve bundle in my leg and my ankle and foot, and I've had so many knee surgeries, and I've got so much damage in my left leg, and now my muscles are atrophying. And this disorder that they took 6.5 years to diagnose me with is now spreading to my organs. And that's where most of the flare and the issues were over the last week, which is why I've been so weak and I've looked so peaked on my lives, is because a lot of the flare was internal this last week, and so it really was a bad week. Thank you, Sue. I'll take any good energy and prayers I can get. Oh yeah, Daniel, I'm always going to like be concerned for Ron and want to see him do well. I want to see him, always in the music industry. It's where he shines. I want to always see him being happy, healthy, and kicking butt and taking names in the music world because he's so talented. I will never not be a fan. I just don't think I could be the level of fan I've been the last few years because this stuff right here where it doesn't affect most people. Um, if you are disabled or you have an autoimmune disorder or you have issues like me, it this can do a lot, and that's why I'm always trying to tell people energy is important. Where do you put it? And for me, I think I just need a better place to put it that's going to have a better return on investment for me so that I'm not constantly dragging butt. Every once in a while I need to have a story that I can be happy about, and I've not had a happy story in that regard for the last few years. I have Raynaud's too, Sue. Oh my gosh, like have you ever had all your blood pulled to your core and just pass out? And then you wake up and your fingers are purple and blue? Oh my gosh, it's so scary. Nobody understands that. Like when it's windy and cold or the temperature changes a lot in like 2 days, I have to stay home because I'll just fall over. They'll just find me somewhere just passed out. It's not good. It sneaks up on you too. You think, oh, I'm good. I've got on layers. I'm warm. No, you're not. I keep telling everybody my internal thermostat does not work. It's stuck. Now, we have tried some oxygen therapy because we did have a bariatric chamber up here for a number of years until our hospital was closed. So they did do that. And it was just trying to help regenerate like nerves and help with healing. And that's then our hospital here closed. Everything had to be outsourced for my treatment, and that's when everything shifted with my health care. It's pathetic. And I had to uh, opt out of my husband's health care at work, and then go and purchase my own secondary private. And so I have so many insurances that I pay for, and so many things that I have to pay for to maintain my health. And it's just the biggest puzzle that I've ever tried to put together in my life. And I wish there were more options in this little region. But because I'm in like BFE Appalachia, there's so little, and by the time you request to go to certain groups, they want you to stop here first. Don't travel that far first. Go here, and it's just the hoops that you have to jump through are never ending. And so basically, and RSD is basically treated symptomatically, because a lot of the preventative or maintenance care is still so experimental that not a lot of insurances are very, they're not very promising as far as the payment on those. Yes, yeah, and RSD has a very similar sensation, pretty much 24/7. So I feel that fiery, like you put your hand in a ice chest until it starts burning. That's the sensation I get. Heated gloves, heated blankets, hand warmers, layers, and you still sometimes will turn purple and fall over. It's pathetic. I used to be so healthy. I used to be such a glorified Amazon, and now I'm like 3 steps down my front porch will stop me from going somewhere because those 3 steps might as well be Mount Everest. Yeah, I've got a lot of edema this weekend. It's been horrible. HBO, you're right. The haters are on a whole different level. It's like they're driven by some internal force or mechanism that I cannot describe. I've never seen a fan base shift into mob mentality so quickly, create an issue, and then get mad there's an issue, and then get mad at the people trying to resolve the issue. And I'm like, well, we're just foobarred the whole way around. It's very strange. And the more I talk about it, people will finally are starting to say, yes, I agree, but I'm scared of being talked about or I'm scared of being attacked. And I'm like, attack me. You're on the internet. What are you going to do? Put your caps locks on? I mean, my gosh, you know. I still function in the real world and have real friends and a real community that I really live in. And so the internet to me is like it's a great place where we could potentially do wonderful things, but pretty much it's just kind of like the Mean Girls table at in the cafeteria. You just kind of have to some days take it with a grain of salt and go on. And that's why it's like I'm so concerned that everything is being placed on social media when we know social media has such a negative vibe. Like everything turns into like it's like what soap operas went off of most cable and satellite stations because social media takes that's it's the new soap opera. Yeah, those Zippo hand warmers. Oh, and then you get those little things that yeah, they're like the ones you can charge. They've got some really good, like generic ones on Amazon that you can charge, and they'll last for like 6 to 8 hours. And I've seen those. And we used to use the little chemical ones that you popped when you go deer hunting to keep your hands warm back in the days when I could actually walk and do these things. And so when I got this disorder and started actually looking for hand warmers, and of course it had been, I'd only ever used hand warmers when I'd gone out in the really cold weather deer hunting or something and stick them in my pockets. And now to look at the hand warmers and how it's changed since I was like 12, 14 and sitting in a tree stand to now I'm 45 and I'm almost 45 and sick, it's like, wow, okay, technology is not always bad. Most of the time it is, but the hand warmer trend has really made big gains. Yeah, I've been looking at the Ohio Clinic. I actually have a friend that lives in Cleveland, and she lived here for, gosh, 15, 20 years, and she moved back last year. And so I've been on to my group ever since, and I got my new insurance established in May. And so we've been discussing, can I go to this clinic to see the specialist because it is the absolute closest best one for me. And so it's on the table. My doctors are pursuing that, and I can stay with my friend when I make that trip for that evaluation. So that would, to me, the Ohio one would be a prime option. And so we are talking about it. It's just getting all my doctors and groups lined up, all my insurances lined up, and everybody on the same team and having that contract signed that yes, and this is what it's going to pay, and this is what I'm going to need to pay, and knowing, everything before I go to do it. And insurance is a pain in the butt. I never thought I was so healthy, and I mean, I was just a muscled up powerhouse. I never thought that I would be in this kind of health scenario in my later years. So life will change people. We make plans and make various types of plans so that you have options. I'm not a hater. No, I'm just somebody trying to go, hey everybody, let's check our emotions until we have all the information. I'm the I'm the elephant on Tarzan. Is this what our Santa's hearing? That's the role I play. Is like, did you really think about that? So I don't want the family to hurt. I don't like to see them hurting. I don't like to see them in crisis. But I just did not feel good when I watched this today, and that made me feel bad in a whole lot of other ways. And I'm like, this just is not. It just feels off. Like, and I've dealt with a lot of different layers of society and a lot of different ways, and this just feels off to me. Like there's a black hole missing. There's a chunk of information missing that's very, very, very important, and nobody has it because something's wrong, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so thank you. I'm glad that you've been, you can give me that information. You've been there because I don't know anybody personally that's gone to it. A lot of my friends that I know with this live farther north, or they live over in London, where of course London has a completely different treatment protocol, and the U.S. is so far behind with treating this disorder. It's pathetic. I have some days where I feel almost normal, and I don't want to go to sleep that night because I don't want to wake up the next morning and have my body go back to default. You can't do anything mode. Um, and then I have days where, like this weekend, where I'm just barely getting up to take care of myself because I'm not functioning. My body just stops. It's just like, nope, we're gonna see how you can make it today with two fingers and three toes that work, and everything else is not gonna function. And I'm like, I can't do this. Pocahontas, exactly. The internet's all fun and games till somebody, yeah, doxes you or goes after you. Which, I mean, really, in this day and age with white pages and all the information, if somebody wants to find you, they're gonna find you. Like, I put people in prison for a decade, and it's just like, oh yeah, I've still got people in prison that will be released over the next like 7 to 15 years, and I normally get like notifications or a letter if it's a very violent offender that I placed in is being released. Um, But I mean, if they want to find you, they're going to find you. I'm really laid back about that, ain't I? I think it's because I've had to worry about it so much that I've processed it down to, if they want to come get me, they're going to come get me. Oh yeah, I hadn't been to the doctor in 6 years until I got pregnant with my son, and I did really well after that until I got injured. I was a wilderness camp counselor and had a boy throw an axe at me. He was not having a good day, obviously. I did not prosecute him though because he had only been there for like 2 or 3 weeks, and he was given a 2-year sentence for prison that they allowed him to stay there because they were going to try him as an adult, but they said if you'll go to this camp and stay here for 2 years, then we'll suspend the adult, let you do this as a juvenile so you can get it off your record. And I knew that if I prosecuted him for that, that they would go ahead and push the adult conviction and put him in prison. And I didn't think he had invested in himself or the program yet. I didn't want to be the person that sent him to prison, because I saw a lot in him, and he's now like 30. How old is he? 36, I think. And he still checks on me. He says that watching me go through all the surgeries and having to heal was what changed his aggressive ways. So I've told him if I have to walk with a limp, so be it. Um, I don't tell him everything that I deal with this disorder because I don't want him to feel guilty. Um, but he does check on me still, and he's still doing really well. Oh, thank you, Daniel. Oh, HBR doesn't know how to take that. My husband's a trapper and tanner, so he traps mostly coyotes, beaver, otter, foxes, bobcats, and he tans it and makes like beaver hoops and sells his fur. So we're a strange family. We're a very backwoods family. Daniel, I needed that chuckle. That's funny. Thank you. Oh my goodness, that was funny. Well, I think I've discussed way more than I thought I was going to discuss coming on here. I've talked way longer, but I'm exhausted, so I'm gonna have to get off here. Um, Depending on how I feel this week when y'all see me, it's been a rough one. So just be aware of that. Be emotionally aware of how you're responding to stimuli on the internet this week, and try to find a positive statement to say to Ryan or Miss Patty because they're both struggling. Whether you want to believe it or side or with them or offer them any kind of care or compassion, just know that anyone in this situation is hurting in some way. And so the best thing you can do is just toss up some good energy and pray for them. Hope that that they get through this and they get to the other side of this, and that some way somehow they can salvage their family and build a better foundation. I hate to see a family torn apart. It's just not an ideal scenario, and it's not good for the little fans to see. That's my big thing is we've got a lot of little eyes and little ears on this that are going to take what occurs here and think it's normal, and want to possibly mimic it because it's their idol going through it. So we just have to be very careful about what we project and how we respond to people this week. So, Daniel, you take care of yourself and stay healthy. It's hard to do right here, right now. I know. Just try to make sure you're taking your vitamin C. That seems about the only thing that's working for me right now. Thank you, HBR. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sue. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for joining in and responding and having such a good communication and such a good conversation. That doesn't always happen on some channels, so I really appreciate it. And as soon as I feel really, really good, I'll be back. But this is about all I'm capable of tonight, and I'm now going to bed. So Thank you all so much. Go out there, be positive, send some love out there, and let people know you care. That's all you can do in the world. I'll see you as soon as I can next week. Bye, guys.